How's it going, guys? It's John. This is a RAD 2 video. In this video, we're going to be talking about melee weapons, which ones are the best, and basically a general progression of melee weapons, and also enchants for RAD 2. Okay, so starting out, we're going to be talking about enchants for RAD 2 weapons, because I feel like that's actually more important than the actual weapons themselves. So let's start from the top. Probably the best one you can get is Blessed Blade. You can get this from Apex Enchantments. You basically do that on the beacon. You have to combine together a bunch of enchants. This one increases attack damage and deals additional magic damage. And then continuing on, another good one, Ameliorated Sharpness. It's basically an upgraded version of Sharpness. You can find this with Treasure, I think that's the only way you can actually get it. Slayer 4 or Slayer. It increases damage against monsters. This one will actually overwrite Sharpness. You should use this instead of Sharpness because it does more damage. Spartan Weapon, it basically does more damage if you're using a shield. It will do bonus magic damage. This is a really strong one. I have a Spartan Weapon 10 one because I was able to get a super boosted enchant off of an Apotheosis boss that was underground in the vanilla Minecraft dungeons. If you don't know, that's a really good way to get enchants that go beyond the limit, because usually most of them will have a max level of like 3 or 5. You can find these vanilla dungeons underground and they will have a spawner in them from Apotheosis, and it will have an Apotheosis boss. And like I said, they have a very high chance of dropping really powerful enchants. Going on, looting, you know that. Frost Aspect slows and weakens the target. This is really good for melee because it weakens and slows. One-man army, damage increase based on how many monsters are nearby. That's pretty good. Vorpal randomly performs powerful attacks and decapitations. It's basically like another crit roll. Critical hit, again, gives you a chance to click non-standard critical hits. It's another crit roll. Life Leech, this is the only Life Leech enchant you should be using. There's like, I want to say like 3 to 5 different leech enchants that will steal life, but the deal is with those other enchants, they only give you the life once you actually kill the target. This is actually a better Life Leech because with this one, you just need to hit them. It heals you for a portion of the damage dealt. So it's actually a lot better than the on-kill Life Leeches. Sweeping Edge increases damage by sweeping, very good. And then looking at these last ones, we have Swift Blade, which is another one that increases. It's the higher your attack speed, the more damage you deal. This is a really rare one. If you can get it, it's really great. You should put it on, but I'm just warning you, it is really rare. Ares Grace, this one's pretty common. It's basically armor penetration. It says increased damage against protected enemies. You want to have this on, especially if you're fighting dragons and higher level monsters that have a ton of armor. This will help you penetrate their armor so you deal more damage. It's definitely mandatory. And last one, Combo Star. This one I never actually used myself. It basically gives you a super high chance to crit, but it has a drawback that it reduces your damage. I'm not sure by how much. I want to say like 15-20%. I don't know exactly. People say that it is worth using this enchant apparently because it's really strong. But like I said, I never used it. So use it if you want to. Your mileage may vary. Okay, so starting out, you're probably going to be wanting to use the Scythe or the Saber from Spartan Weaponry. I feel like these are probably the best weapons you can use until a lot later on. You can use these at level 5 combat. So for the Saber, it does 25% of damage taken from durability from this weapon, so it can actually block damage, I believe. The major reason is because of the chest damage bonus. It has 100% more damage when the foe has no chest armor, which is pretty good. For the Scythe, its bonuses has a head damage bonus, plus 50% damage when the foe has no head armor, which most monsters in like all of the game do not have armor. So that's really good. And then Decapitate gives a 25% chance of dropping a head or skull when killing a mob. I believe this also is basically like a crit roll, kind of like Vorpal enchant, where it will do a certain amount of damage. I remember reading in the old days it did like a 400% crit, like 400% of whatever your damage is, but I want to say it got nerfed. I'm pretty sure the Scythes still have this crit roll. And then also, if you don't know, this is like the best way to get heads by using the Scythe, because it has a chance of giving you, heads, 25% chance of getting you a head when you get a kill. So I would suggest starting out with these weapons. You can start out with the wooden ones. Once you get 15, you can switch to stone. And then once you hit 25, you can switch to iron. If you want to, you can continue on using the diamond versions and the netherite versions, but as I'm going to show you in a bit, there are other weapons that you're probably going to want to switch to once you get higher combat. Okay, so the next weapon we're going to be looking at is the Iron Club. You can get this club from, I believe, the pyramids, and then also from the bandit outpost in Atum. It might be a little tough to get because the bandits are pretty much everywhere in Autumn. But if you can run in and, you know, basically raid a bandit outpost and steal, like, open up all their chests, you should be able to find an Iron Club pretty easily. I feel like this is one of the best weapons in the game because you can use it at level 27 combat. It does 16 damage, which is ridiculous. It has a slow attack speed, but honestly, I feel like it's worth it because it does so much damage. You can really basically beat the crap out of guys pretty early on with this weapon. This is like one of the best weapons you can get prior to level 50 combat. Actually, I think it might be the best weapon you can get before level 50 combat. So I would definitely recommend, as soon as you hit 27 combat, you should definitely switch to the Iron Club because this thing does a ridiculous amount of damage. Okay, so moving on to the next weapon at level 50 combat. This is probably the best weapon you should get in RAD 2, the Dreadsteel Sword. You need level 50 combat to get it, and in order to get this, you'll need to get into one of the mausoleums from the Ice and Fire mod. So basically what you'll have to do to get this item is you'll have to make a haunted bell, which it will summon a boss, the bell ringer boss. You fight and kill this boss, and then he will drop one of these phantoplasms, which you will use to make this passage's toll, which is basically a bell item. You can use this item to teleport through the wall of the mausoleums from Ice and Fire, and that will allow you to farm the Dread Knight mobs, and the Dread Knight mobs have a pretty decent chance to drop the Dread Sword. It shouldn't take you too long to get the sword. It's just mainly getting that bell item. And also the Ice and Fire Mausoleums, you can find them pretty commonly in snowy areas in RAD 2. It's not hard to find them, it's pretty easy. So yeah, just get that bell item, you know, teleport your way inside and farm the Dread Knight guys. Try and keep one of their spawners alive or something and just farm them. Be careful though, because they do hit kind of hard. But yeah, if you can get this sword, it is really good. You just need 50 combat. It does 1 more damage than the Iron Club, but it is a lot faster, a much faster attack speed. The Iron Club's 0.6, this is 1.6 attack speed, so it's way faster, much better. I would almost say that this is probably the best weapon you can get in the game for minimal effort, and that you should probably just stick with this weapon unless you want to continue on and you're a masochist, as I'm going to show you. Okay, so the second best weapons in the game after the Dread Knight is the Dragonsteel weapons, in particular the Ice Dragonsteel. If you're wondering how come you won't use the Lightning or the Fire Dragonsteel, because with the Fire Dragonsteel, it basically knocks back the target and puts them on fire. It does lots of damage. Then the Lightning one, it actually puts down a lightning bolt, I think, whenever you swing, which is pretty cool, but it has a problem because you could put stuff on fire on accident like that. The reason why we used Ice Dragonsteel weapons, if you're not familiar with Ice and Fire mod, is because every time you hit a target with these weapons, it will knock them back and basically like encase them in ice, so they can't even move. They basically turn into a snail, and it's completely broken. This has been in forever in Ice and Fire, but yeah, this is the reason why Ice Dragon weapons are absolutely OP, because they will just freeze the target and then they just stand there, you know, for like 3 or 4 seconds, and they literally cannot do anything. They're so slow, and you can just beat the crap out of them. And along with that, also the Dragonsteel weapons, they do 25 damage, which is a ton of damage. The problem with Dragonsteel, and why I think that you should just stick with the Dread Knight Sword or the Iron Club, is because you have to get Dragonslayer 15, which is a complete pain in the ass. You have to basically farm a ton of dragons, and it's not really fun. I feel like if you don't get good enchants, you know, if you get really crappy enchants and you don't get one of those enchants like I got that's like level 10 or level 13 or something, then maybe it would be worth to get Dragonsteel. I would suggest, if you're not on the latest version of RAD 2, you should definitely switch to the latest version of RAD 2, because it will allow you to use this cave mode function over here in the bottom left of your map. You just click it and then set the cave mode top wide to 30, and then just come over here and you click layered, and it will basically show you the caves and tunnels that are at that layer or at level 30Y. And then what you can do is you can just scan the whole map looking for places where there's dragon layers, like here for example, and then you can just dig your way down and go fight a fire dragon or an ice dragon. So just showing you real quick, this is what a fire dragon nest looks like. You can see it's black with these gold dots. That means that there's gold coins there. And then moving along, this is what a ice dragon den looks like. As you can see, it's kind of blue, and there's you can see there's like these little like white dots. There's silverish dots. Those are piles of silver coins. Mainly you can tell it's an ice dragon den because it's this sky blue color. And then lastly, for lightning dragons, as you can see, it's still the black color of stone. And then you can see there's these little like light brownish copper colored piles. Those are piles of copper coins. That's how you can tell if it's a lightning dragon. Also, another word of advice. For fire dragons, you can find them in almost any like temperate biome. For ice dragons, again, you can find them in almost any like cold biome. For lightning dragons, it's a pain in the ass. You're supposed to be able to find them in jungles and savannas, but it's very rare to find them. I had much better luck finding them in Badlands biomes. So if you're trying to get lightning dragons, like if you're a maniac and you want to make the void steel stuff or the dreadsteel stuff, get yourself over to a Badlands biome, because I feel like they have a much better chance of finding lightning dragons in Badlands biomes. But anyways, after that, you pretty much just have to farm up and just kill a ton of dragons until you get level 15 Dragonslayer, which will allow you to use Dragonsteel. In case you don't know, also, you can make the Dragonbone Sword, which you can use at level 2 Dragonslayer, which will give you 25% more Dragonslayer XP. And then also, if you use a Dragon Skull in your offhand, it will give you 100% more Dragonslayer. You don't actually need Dragonslayer levels to do this, so you should definitely do it as soon as you kill one dragon. And then also remember, once you hit level 7 Dragonslayer, you can upgrade your Bone Sword into a Ice or Fire or Lightning Sword by combining it with blood of the respective dragon, and that will give you 50% more XP. So that's just some quick tips about leveling Dragonslayer. It's still a pain in the ass. I feel like with this new layer mode that they've added, it will probably make it a lot easier to get the dragons now. Back in the old days of RAD 2, we didn't have this layer mode, so it was a total pain to get level 15 Dragonslayer. And then also, don't forget that you can also just farm the Ender Dragon, and he will also give you Dragonslayer XP. But just make sure you have your Dragon Bone Sword and your Dragon Skull equipped in your offhand. And eventually, you will get level 15 Dragonslayer, and you will unlock the ability to use Dragonsteel, which is pretty darn good. And then lastly, the last endgame weapon we're looking at is the Dreadsteel Scythe. You actually need 100 combat and then also 15 Dragonslayer to use it. It's a total pain in the ass. I wouldn't even suggest doing this unless you're really crazy and masochistic, because you have to get basically all 3 types of dragons and make the dragon forges and all that, with the lightning dragons being the worst. But again, if you want to have a super OP weapon that actually shoots projectiles and hits guys from far away, it also pierces. I think it has armor penetration too. Yeah, it pierces all enemies and armor on hit. It's super OP, but I feel like the amount of effort it takes to get this thing is like, you already have a Dragonsteel Sword, which basically almost does the same thing because it does a ton of damage and freezes them and all that. So I think that's pretty much it for the video, guys. Just let me know if you have any other questions about weapons. I feel like it's a pretty good path, you know, using the Spartan weapons and then going into the Iron Club and the Dread Knight Sword. You should, like I said, I think you should be fine with the Dread Knight Sword, honestly. But like I said, if you feel like it's not enough damage for you, then by all means make the Dragonsteel weapon and make sure to use that layer cave mode thingy, so that way you can actually find dragons a lot easier. But at the end of the day, like I said at the beginning of the video, RAD 2 is really about getting super OP enchants, and that's really what pushes your damage to the next level. So that, to be honest, that's the only good loot in RAD 2. Most of the loot in RAD 2 is pretty garbage, besides like a handful of items. It's really all about the enchants. You're basically just always trying to find good enchants. But anyways, guys, if you have any questions, please leave a comment. I will try and help you with any kind of questions you have about RAD 2, particularly in this case with the weapons. And thanks, guys, for watching. I hope this video helped you out, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!